Welcome to today's practice. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get started today in an easy seat at the center of the mat as we take just a few moments to begin to check in with ourselves before we get into our poses today. Feeling the sits bones grounded to the earth beneath you. Just following the natural rhythm of the breath. Feeling the belly rise with each inhale and fall with each exhale. While we're here, simply take inventory of the state of your body and your mind before we get started today. Where are you holding tension? What is the condition of your mind or your emotions? Then gently come back to the breath again. And I will leave you for just a few more moments to set an intention for today's practice. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and turn onto your stomach for our first pose. We are going to begin in our Sphinx pose. So with the elbows aligned beneath the shoulders and the palms flat on the mat. Inhale as you lengthen through the neck, through the spine. As you exhale, allow the shoulders to drop down and away from the ears. Begin to scan through the body, just noticing what sensations are happening right now. Noticing any area still holding on to tension. And with your exhale, letting that go, being a little heavier in this pose. Relaxing the feet and ankles, the legs and the hips and glutes, everything just heavy here. You can keep looking ahead, or you may allow the head to drop, taking the stretch a little deeper into the neck and upper back. You also have the options of bringing the heels up towards the glutes to take this a bit deeper into the low back. Then settle into the stillness. Stay connected with that breath and present in the body. Just noticing anything that's coming up for you today, any patterns of thought, any things you find yourself stuck on. Without engaging, simply notice. Then usher your awareness back to the breath, coming back to the here and now. Experiencing life in the present without having to be thinking or doing, but knowing yourself deeper by quieting the mind and just being. We have less than a minute left in this pose, so I will leave you here to practice getting into that meditative state of mind. Great job. On your next exhale, gently allow the chest to melt back down towards the mat. Take as much time as you need, pausing the video if you have to just notice the effects of this pose on the body, to allow that fascia to come back slowly, and then turn onto your left side when you're ready, and meet me in tabletop for our next pose. Be sure that the hips are aligned above the knees here, and the shoulders above the wrist. Take an inhale. As you exhale, let's step the right foot forward to the front of the mat, being sure that that right knee is aligned above the ankle, and we're making about a 90-degree angle with that front leg. On your next inhale, reach the arms overhead, tuck that tailbone, pull the belly button into the spine. As you exhale, begin to shift the hips forward as you bring the hands interlaced behind your head, opening through the chest, through our heart meridian here. According to traditional Chinese medicine, the heart meridian is associated with our ability to love and have compassion, as well as experiencing self-love. As you inhale, imagine drawing the breath into the chest, the shoulders and arms, anywhere that feels tense. As you exhale, imagine that all melting away out of the body, maybe shifting the hips a little further forward, going deeper into your lunge. With this lunge, we are targeting the hip flexor psoas area and the quad where our spleen meridian runs through. And the spleen meridian is thought to be associated with determination and willpower, self-esteem and worth. Also anxiety or worry when it's out of balance, as well as playing a role in our digestive health. This time, on your next inhale, imagine drawing that breath into those areas of tension in the quad and hip area. As you exhale, imagine it melting away, releasing any tension you notice, allowing the body to surrender a little deeper here, so the fascia has room to release and let go. Continue to stay connected to that breath, noticing what's happening in the body, noticing how it feels when that fascia begins to release. And I'll leave you here for 1 minute left on this side. Wonderful job. When you are ready, go ahead and make your way back into tabletop, taking just a moment to notice how that first side is feeling. Take an inhale. As you exhale, step the left foot forward to the front of the mat this time. Inhale as you tuck the tailbone once more, pulling the belly button into the spine. Reach the arms overhead. Then with your next exhale, begin to shift the hips forward, sinking low, making sure that knee isn't passing the foot, and interlacing those hands behind the head, elbows pulling outward, opening the chest up towards the sky. During these heart-opening postures is a great time to practice gratitude. Maybe reflecting on what you're grateful for in this very moment. In a world where it can be easy for our minds to be filled with self-criticism and high standards, here's a place to simply meet yourself where you're at with compassion. Experience just being without having to judge or perform. Because even in this moment, you are enough and you are just where you need to be right now. As we're here, notice your thoughts as they arise. Over time, begin to notice how your thoughts shape your emotional reality. You cannot hate yourself into being a better version of yourself, or what you would consider a more worthy version of yourself, perhaps. All you can really do is show up for yourself, meeting yourself with compassion each day where you're at, so that this present version of yourself can be loved and nurtured in the way that it needs to be in order to grow. So give yourself permission to simply be here, to accept whatever comes up for you, without judgment, simply noticing anything that arises, allowing it to flow as it needs to, and just being the observer, the watcher of your own mind and body. Coming back to the breath anytime the mind becomes overactive. We have less than a minute left on this side. Great job. When you are ready, go ahead and gently release yourself out of this pose. Find your way onto your back for another short rebound. Gently tucking the shoulder blades down and back, palms facing up toward the sky, and just feel the echo of the pose here. Following the natural breath again, simply noticing. In your own time, gently turn onto your side and meet me seated for our next pose. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time for these rebounds. I'm going to offer you a few different variations for this pose, but we're all going to begin on our knees. And we want to make sure for this that our hips stay aligned above the knees, so we're pressing the hips forward as we go into this pose, not leaning back. Then we're going to open the chest, palms facing out. And as we look up toward the sky, chest opening, this is our easy camel, the first version we have. The second level would be to place the palms on the sacrum or that low back area and begin to bend backwards deeper, looking up toward the sky, allowing the head to fall back. And finally, the third version is to reach for the ankles or the feet, looking backwards, taking a deep back bend here. If you have any back pain here, please be sure to come out of the pose or take an easier variation. It's very important to be sure that we're listening to our bodies in this practice so that we don't get injured. We'll also only hold this pose for 2 minutes, since it's quite a bit more intense than some of our poses. Breathe through that discomfort here, allowing the mind to stay anchored on that breath instead of getting wrapped up in thoughts or beliefs that you can't stay here. As long as there isn't pain or you're not getting lightheaded, continue to breathe through it. Stay anchored to that breath. This is the part of our practice that is challenging. It is not usually the physical, but more so mental challenge. Learning to be comfortable with discomfort. Sitting in stillness with uncomfortable feelings or thoughts. But as we do, we accept them as part of our present experience, knowing that eventually they will pass. We are about to begin coming out of this pose. If you're in the full camel, make sure that you begin by bringing the hands to the sacrum first, and then lifting the chest back up. Move slowly here, allowing that fascia to come back at its own pace, preventing our risk of injury. And then find your way into a rebound once more, tugging those shoulder blades down and back, legs extended, palms facing the sky. Feel the echo of the pose here. Feel the shifts, the sensations within you. Noticing your experience in this very moment. In your own time, go ahead and gently turn over onto your stomach. Take an inhale. As you exhale, sink your hips back as you find your way into a child's pose. Arms resting at the sides. Glutes grounded to the heels if you can. And breathe deeply here, feeling the gentle release through the low back with each long exhale. Enjoying this gentle counter of our back bends. Inhale peace and calm into the mind. And exhale all fears or worries, leaving the body. In this space, allow yourself to simply exist separate from your thoughts, noticing them, but recognizing that you are not your thoughts. And how you feel is not who you are. Oftentimes, when people speak of their identity, they aren't speaking to their true selves, but they're speaking out of expressions or reflections of themselves. Things concerned with what they do, how they perform, or what they look like, maybe. But if we lose the ability to do something that we once did, that makes us no less ourselves. And if our looks were to be drastically changed for some reason, that also doesn't change the uniqueness of us and who we truly are. In the ego, there's concern with labeling, performing, or doing. All these things that ultimately come down to trying to earn love or to feel lovable. But in stillness, we can access our true selves, that part of us that is here to exist, to have purpose and simply being, experiencing each moment as it comes, and being perfectly whole and acceptable, and that part of us that can never be perfectly described by words in this world. So continue to stay connected with yourself, in tune with the body and the breath, as you seek to tap into that deeper wisdom within, that space of just being peacefully. Just a few more slow breaths here. When you're ready, go ahead and make your way out of this child's pose. And once again, find your way onto your back for a final Savasana. One more time, I'd invite you to scan through the body, noticing any areas still holding on to that tension. And see if you can release that with your exhale, melting a little deeper into your mat. Notice the shifts that have occurred in the body, also in the mind or emotions, comparing to that initial inventory you took at the beginning of the practice. Come back to the breath as we settle in here for just a little bit longer, enjoying the silence and stillness. If you're ready to come out of your Shavasana with me, invite some gentle movement back into the fingers and toes. And when you're ready, turn onto your right side and meet me seated at the center of the mat for our final closing breaths together. Inhale, reaching the arms overhead. And exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. Then releasing the hands to rest over the heart for a moment. Feeling that heartbeat within your chest, that life-sustaining rhythm. And perhaps acknowledging gratitude for your existence in this very moment, for the fact that you get to be part of this wild and beautiful world. Let's take one more inhale, reaching overhead. And exhale, hands to prayer, heart center. Just acknowledging yourself for taking the time to honor your mind and body in this way today. Thank you so much for choosing to join me for this practice. I hope it has left you refreshed and brought some peace into your day. If you enjoyed this video, would you do me a huge favor and please be sure to like it, as well as subscribe to stay up to date with all of my latest classes and help me expand my reach. These are really two of the best ways that you can support this channel. I always love to hear your feedback, so please feel free to leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of this class, or if there are topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Thank you again for choosing to join me for this practice today, and I will see you real soon, my friends. Have a great day. Namaste.